Jack DePagter paints his life with broad and varied brushstrokes. Many people recognize him as the Grand Icicle, the founder of Winter School, the last bastion of political float-making. Those who are familiar with mountain rescue and the Colorado Mountain Club know Jack as a mountaineer and climbing aficionado. Visitors think of Jack, along with his wife Annika, as the consummate innkeepers they return to visit year after year. And a few are privy to his prolific artistry. Jack is all these men, but his highly individual zest for life reveals him most of all as a Renaissance man.
As a kid, I've always liked mountains for some reason, because to me it was such a big contrast, coming from Holland.
When he was a kid, he was in the French Resistance and did a lot with the Dutch to bring captured Americans, down British pilots, Jews, and so forth, out of Holland into the French Resistance and into Spain. When the Americans came through, he went to work for the Americans as a translator to interrogate captured German soldiers.
So when I were in the army, and then I saw those mountains, I said, wow, I wouldn't mind climbing up there. And I did, and befriended some people, and said, oh, let's walk up there. So I fell in love with it.
In 1949, Jack's love of the mountains and interest in the hotel business led him to Aspen, where he worked for the Hotel Jerome.
In 50, we had the FIS. And then in 51, there was nothing. I mean, we had only 2 lifts, and there was no business, very little business. And I said to Delphine, she passed away, I said, you know what we should do? We should boost up a week. Why don't we do something? And so we did. We talked together. I was in the bar, of course. I was the bartender. And he said, like what? I said, why don't we make a carnival? Then tell everybody, be part of it. See, what we did, we thought if we had 7 days, the first evening would be a Mad Hatter's ball. We'll get dressed up in a ball, And then on Sunday, an Eagles evening. And then a Hotel Jerome evening, and then one for the Ski and Spur, and then for the White Kitchen. And before we knew it, we had 7. I told the Army, I said, you know what you do? You call every business in town and tell them that everybody's going to be in the parade, in the float, with a float or whatever. And if they're not sure, they said, you're going to be the only one that's not in it. And we had 52 floats. So that's actually how it all started and grew.
In 1952, Jack married Annika in Holland. The couple returned to Aspen to finish building the Holland House and begin their tradition of great hospitality.
Back in 1962 was my first trip to Aspen, and I promptly got the mumps. I was staying at the Holland House, and they did not send me to the hospital, but insisted on my staying there and played nursemaid. Were absolutely wonderful to me and became very close. So I came back for about 8 to 10 years in a row, not just to ski Aspen, but to see Jack and Annika.
You met Jack, at least back in 1965, and externally, on the outside, he was crusty and opinionated and feisty and very rigid in his values. And then you got to know him, and you found out that inside he was feisty and crusty and rigid, and there was no facade, I mean, he was the same person inside and out, and you got to love him because of that, because you knew what he thought he expressed.
Renaissance minds have their own code, by which decisions are based on efficiency and effectiveness.
I think one of the things that made Jack a good mountain rescue person was that everybody respected his knowledge, and nobody really questioned anything that he proposed or suggest or did.
You never know quite who would show up on a rescue, but when Jack came, boy, you felt another degree of safety, security, and just all-around good feeling.
As Dick Arnold once said about a similar situation, you know you really trust somebody when you dangle off a rope and they tied the knot. Well, I'd trust Jack's knots anytime.
And the one thing that's always stuck with me is Jack said to me, I don't promise you the summit, but I promise you a safe return.
It wasn't Mountain Rescue, but he is the president of the Colorado Mountain Club, and he has climbed Pyramid Peak. At one time, he told me he'd been up at least 35 times, and that was years ago. But he took John A. Muir, and the folks in the audience will know who John A. Muir is. John A. Muir was the French Olympic skier who came to Aspen and because of diabetes ultimately lost his life and became blind. But Jack took some of us up, including John A. Muir, to the top of Pyramid Peak when John could hardly see. And Jack's whole background is full of stories like this.
And Jack is a wonderful leader because he isn't like a Marine sergeant, and we stop to smell the flowers. That's the best way I can describe that.
Reflecting upon my father, I think one of the things that my father has done for me and given to me and instilled in myself and my husband is his real love for the out of doors. My dad loves to climb, he loves to hike, and he does that all summer long, as most of you probably know. And in the winter, of course, he loves to ski. And when I go skiing with him, every time we go skiing, he looks out and the beauty and the scenery is never lost on him. And that's very magical.
I think of Annika when I think of Jack. They're a legend.